Have you heard?
Completed nearly 200 years ago, the Old College Quadrangle was seen by many as the symbolic heart of Edinburgh University, a tourist hotspot, a postcard favourite and the epicentre of the institution's elite academic cultivation. Interestingly, this space rarely feels like a hub of student activity, a place for collaboration, synergy and community. Instead, it's quiet, passive and tight. This is something we wish to agitate and investigate. In this presentation, we will share with you our project proposal titled Have You Heard? Exploring the conditions of the chosen site, the normative behaviour of society within it, and a clandestine approach to disrupt this institutionally enforced passivity with an intervention we describe as a gossip network.
Stood within its core, it is clear that this is not a site for idling. The few benches available are occupied quietly, most choosing to move through the space with an untold etiquette. The space seems to suffer from a kind of unwritten rule of passivity, a sense that it belongs to the university administration, not the students, despite its supposedly public nature. It's muted, inoffensive, slightly tense. Even recording this presentation feels like overstepping some type of boundary. This prevailing yet unregulated order reflects the situationist concept of psychogeography, the idea that environments impact how we feel and act, whether this is consciously organised or not. As a result, the courtyard operates as an undemocratised space, where behaviour is subtly controlled and alternative uses are discouraged.
A key part of the research process was simply existing within the space, actively consuming the atmosphere and attempting to internalise its impact on the individual. Sheltering the old college's grassy courtyard, the neoclassical sandstone edifices of the university rise upwards, engulfing the space and containing all movement and sound. Its grandeur and scale, rather than spacious, feel claustrophobic. This structure parallels that of a theatre, where the historical weight of the institution's past and current unwaveringly glare down upon its contents. Practices within Edinburgh, such as Rosanna Kaye's Walking Holding in 2016, further highlight this phenomenon. In this work, audience members walk through the city holding hands with strangers, revealing invisible spatial boundaries and exposing how, despite being ostensibly public, some sites' unspoken dynamics instead render them far from communal. In examples of architectural brilliance across the world, occupants of the spaces tend to move predictably, following signs and instructions, staying quiet, respectful and hesitant. While their scale and grandeur undoubtedly have a subordinating effect, this can also be attributed to the troublesome legacies often inextricably linked with such architectural feats. Constructed in the midst of the Scottish Enlightenment, the neoclassical architecture of the Old College and buildings of such ilk serve as evocations of burdened histories often imbued with colonialist atrocities, intellectual elitism and imperialist funding. Architecture is a canonical method of imposing institutional dominance, and these notions persist in Western modern-day cities where post-colonial residue lingers despite institutions' effort to self-sanitize and create distance with the past. Regardless, buildings like Old College endure as beacons of imperial identity, therefore maintaining their claims to supremacy over the common individual.
In May 2024, a large-scale encampment of the courtyard took place in resistance to the university's academic and financial ties with the Israeli government during the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Such militancy in this university space is not uncommon, with marches, sit-ins, protests and strikes in support of many different causes taking place. These interludes of action demonstrate the site's dynamic potentiality and exhibit how moments of resistance can transfer control from the university to the student, from the institution to the individual. Of course, most forms of protest tend to centre around a specific political or social goal, generally relating to a specific current affair. This work sits amongst protest, but is not focused around a defined political, cultural or social event. It aims to subvert hierarchy, to prove the capacity of the individual to reassert authority within the public realm, and in particular within institutional frameworks.
Okay, so how could we disrupt this passivity? Resist the architecture's glare and reclaim the agency previously swallowed by systems of power? We sought an intervention that could resist silent authority over public space by giving agency and power to those within it, a practice which philosopher Michael de Certeau coins as a tactic against an institution's strategy. So, this tactic, what does it entail? We intend to plant a seed of gossip in this very courtyard, perhaps to a student running late or one of the ground staff. From the point of initiation, the gossip will be set free, disseminating, evolving, and inevitably warping from ear to ear as it organically spreads into a network of gossip, existing only as an intangible rumour which can wander the minds and corridors of this institution.
But what will the gossip be?
Have you heard? That gold figure up there is a real person. He's been standing there for 300 years.
The point is, the gossip's content is not the mechanism of intervention, but instead the fuel needed to ignite interest. All it must be is random, ludicrous, and intuitive. While it is maybe even impossible to articulate with complete neutrality, we intend for the gossip's content to act as a vessel rather than a focal point, fracturing disengagement within the space and compelling people to share the occurrence. This eventual collectivity of words, thoughts, and ideas passed between people can be framed as a web of understanding and speculation, taking shape as a collaborative act. Undefinable, immaterial, yet bearing shared cultural knowing and experiential understanding, this can be described as a gossip network.
This idea takes inspiration from the Berlin-based platform Gossip, Gossip, Gossip. Gossip, an act often dismissed as trivial and unimportant through normative lenses, is reframed as a fugitive mechanism which can serve as a decentralized network of communication that exists without ownership, commodification, or verification outside of authoritative structures. Using gossip as a medium, we can infiltrate the university's stronghold on compliance in an untraceable way, which could provoke a reimagined distribution of control.
The concept so far appears to rely on the idealistic hope of a smooth, word-of-mouth diffusion of rumour. However, firstly, the inconsequential contents of the gossip constitute it infinitely regenerative, thus not limiting the number of iterations as well as the potential locations of initiation, which could prove an interesting development of this project further down the line. Second, its potential to fail will be untraceable to us or any participant due to the disengagement with the gossip after it circulates through oneself, therefore making it a truly organic and uncontrived shared social process. With such a non-interventionist approach, ethical issues could arrive with the potential trajectories our gossip may take, as well as certain entanglements with fake news. Due to intentions of neutrality with the gossip's clear, absurd implausibility, this factor is strongly limited. Furthermore, by operating outside of institutional containment, where ideas can no longer be regulated and censored, the results of escaping these systems will serve as a representation of liberation and a newfound authority of thought, which will take precedence over any gossip contents.
In the world of contemporary art, a paradox exists between the constant desire to challenge institutional hegemony and the reliance on those same structures for funding, exhibition, and visibility. Our project avoids this tension by operating independently from this framework, resisting ownership and commodification through its intangible nature, transferring control to its participants. Even as initiators, we do not retain authorship. Instead, it belongs and exists to only those who experienced it, while still remaining totally accessible to all.
This very presentation is not intended for a commissioner or gallery space, but for those who occupy the location of Old College itself. Maybe a professor passing through or someone visiting Edinburgh for the first time. By enacting the work, participants can claim agency over their thought and behaviour within the site, reconsidering their personal and collective relationships to structures of control.
And then we just add it in. Or Joseph. Did you look at the B-roll and decide you could do the same bit?